Hi guys, welcome back to the Theory of Strength Training series. Today we're going to be talking about specificity. Specificity is considered to be the most important principle of strength training, but that does not mean that it's a very complicated topic. The easiest way to think of specificity is as efficiency. Let me illustrate what I mean. Let's imagine that I wanted to sweep this room. There are many different ways to go about it. One way would be by using a broom. And another way would be by using a toothbrush. Not that this couldn't be done with a toothbrush, but I think we could all agree that this would take me much longer. Which is not to say that toothbrushes are completely useless. For example, if I wanted to brush my teeth, using a broom might not be such a good idea. The same thing applies to training. There are many different exercises and different training methodologies available. And it's not so much about what is good and what is bad. The better way to look at it is what is the most appropriate. Just like the broom would be more appropriate for sweeping the room, and a toothbrush would be more appropriate for brushing your teeth. As you might remember from our adaptation episode, we said that specific stimulus evokes specific response. Which means that in order for you to achieve whatever goal you have at the gym, you want to select the tools that will get you there in the shortest amount of time. Which in turn means that you have to have a clear vision, what are you trying to accomplish. Many of you might have heard the expression, you can't hit a target if you don't know what it is. And as obvious as it sounds, this is something that is often being skipped over. How many people at the gym know exactly what their goal is? And saying that I just want to be in shape doesn't really help because that could mean a lot of different things. Having a very clear goal will give you training direction. Without it, it would be like trading water, when you're expending all that energy without actually going anywhere. Now that we emphasized the importance of having a clear goal, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that would be most effective depending on what your goal is. But before we dive into it, I just want to say two things. Number one is, I'm not a big fan of percentages from your 1 repetition maximum. Although it makes it sound scientific, do understand that there is still a lot of variation to it. And I personally don't use it that much. And these are just listed to give you some idea where we're at. Number two is, do understand that there is definitely a lot of overlap between all of these. Training to get stronger will probably get you bigger. And training to get bigger will probably also get you stronger. When our primary goal is strength, the following training parameters would be the most appropriate. When it comes to exercise selection, we want to use compound multi-joint exercises. Squat, bench press, deadlift, shoulder press, and bend over rows would be your best examples. When it comes to load, we want to stay in the range of 80% or higher of your 1 repetition maximum. And we're going to lift that weight 3 to 5 sets for 1 to 6 reps. Rest breaks during strength training are long, 2 to 5 minutes, and sometimes even longer. Things will be slightly different when we're focusing on hypertrophy, aka making muscles bigger. Although we can still use compound exercises, we can now also add some of the isolation work. Bicep curls and calf raises would be some of the examples. As you can see, we will be using less weight now, and that's because although we're doing the same number of sets, the number of reps per set will be higher, 6 to 12 usually. Another reason why we won't be able to use as much weight is because the rest breaks during hypertrophy training are shorter, usually 60 to 90 seconds, which helps you to increase the muscle pump as the workout progresses. We are finally getting to training for muscular endurance. Once again, we can use both compound and isolation movements here. We will use less weight during this training because we expect to lift it for more repetitions. If you ever train with high repetitions, you will know that it's very difficult to perform many sets like that. And that's why the amount of sets recommended here is 2 to 3. The rest breaks during endurance training are much shorter, usually less than 30 seconds. And sometimes exercises for different muscle groups are performed without any rest in between whatsoever. And that's something that's called circuit training. If you ever try my conditioning training program, you will know how unpleasant that can be. As straightforward as specificity is, there are definitely ways to misapply it. Let's first discuss over-application of specificity. And my favorite example here is when the guy is trying to increase their punching power, they start doing various strange-looking exercises that kind of resemble the same movement pattern. And things like that seem to be getting more and more popular with the rise of a functional training. Seems that almost everybody is either on a balance ball or is wrapped in elastic band somehow. And people think that they are being very clever by being as specific as possible. But if you really think about it, doing all those weird looking things actually violates specificity because they are not using training parameters that are the most specific for strength development. And if you want to increase your punching power, you might be better off getting as strong as possible by using the most appropriate strength training methodology and then trying to apply that new acquired strength during your striking practice. Let's now talk about under-applications. An example of under-application of specificity is when your training is just too random. For example, I can tell you that by far the most popular exercise in my gym is face pull, while the number of people still doing bend over rows can be probably counted on one hand. And not that there is anything wrong with face pull. In fact, it is widely used in physical therapy. But for you to use that exercise to build a solid back is very similar to as for me using toothbrush to sweep this room, meaning that it will take much longer. As we will discuss in the following episode, at the end of the day, we're always managing limited resources. And the more energy you put into some exotic exercise you saw on Instagram, the less of that energy you will have on your bread and butter training. And that's what specificity is all about. As I said in the beginning, it's a pretty simple concept, and a lot of it is just common sense. You have to decide what you're trying to accomplish in the gym and then select the most effective tools that can help you get there. And that's it for this episode, guys, and I'll see you next time.